Welcome to the Fighter Index, MMA's unofficial fighter scoring system. In this video, we're breaking down the co-main event for the UFC Freedom 250, Alex Pereira versus Ciryl Gane for the interim UFC Heavyweight Championship. This is a fascinating heavyweight matchup between two elite strikers with very different approaches. Pereira brings terrifying knockout power, precision, and one of the most dangerous left hooks in combat sports, while Gane relies on movement, range control, and one of the smoothest technical striking games in the division. Both men are at their best on the feet, but they create problems in completely different ways. Pereira through pressure and fight-ending power, and Gane through footwork, patience, and making opponents miss before making them pay. We're going to see their archetypes, go through their best weapons, break down their strengths and weaknesses, go through all four pillars of the Fighter Index, map out their fight dynamics, talk about their paths to victory, and then at the end of the video we're going to reveal their Fighter Index composite scores to see which fighter holds the edge in the race for interim heavyweight gold. Alex Pereira is an S-tier knockout striker built around elite striking control, devastating knockout power, and some of the most dangerous counter weapons in MMA. He fights by controlling range, forcing opponents into bad entries, and punishing mistakes with precision rather than volume. His left hook, calf kicks, and calm under pressure make him one of the most feared strikers in combat sports. His archetype works consistently even against elite opponents because his weapons are so sharp and so difficult to safely navigate, making him a clear S-tier fighter. Ciryl Gane is an A-tier range controller built around movement, distance management, and making heavyweights fight at his pace instead of theirs. He wins through footwork, clean technical striking, and the ability to stay just outside of danger while scoring consistently. He's not built around chaos or one-shot violence. He controls fights by denying opponents the exchanges they want. His technical skill is elite, but questions about wrestling and physical control keep him just below S-tier status. Pereira's left hook is his most dangerous weapon. Short, compact, and devastating. His left hook can end fights instantly when opponents enter badly or get trapped in exchanges. His second weapon is his brutal calf kicks. He destroys opponents' stance and mobility early, slowing movement and making them easier to pressure and counter later. His third weapon is his check hook counter. When opponents rush forward recklessly, Pereira punishes entries with elite timing and precision, often landing before they realize the opening is gone. Ciryl Gane's best weapon is his jab. It controls everything. He uses it to manage distance, disrupt entries, and keep opponents fighting at the exact range he wants. His second weapon is his teep kick to the body because it keeps pressure fighters off him and constantly resets range, forcing opponents to restart entries over and over again. His third weapon is his angle exits. Instead of standing in front of opponents, Gane exits on angles after combinations, making him incredibly difficult to trap or pressure cleanly. Alex Pereira's biggest strength is his ability to instantly change fights with a single exchange. His striking is built around elite timing, precision, and some of the most dangerous power in MMA, especially through his left hook, counter left hand, and devastating calf kicks. Few fighters in the sport create the same level of tension every second they're standing in range in front of an opponent. What makes Pereira especially dangerous is how little offense he actually needs to win fights. He stays patient, controls range carefully, and waits for opponents to give him reactions he can punish. Once fighters become hesitant or start second-guessing entries, Pereira becomes even more difficult to pressure safely because every mistake carries knockout risk. His composure is also a massive weapon. Pereira rarely looks rushed or emotionally overwhelmed during striking exchanges. He trusts his reads, maintains structure under pressure, and stays dangerous even when backing up because of how sharp his counters are. His size and physical presence add another layer as well, especially at heavyweight. Pereira is extremely good at controlling distance with feints, frames, and positional pressure, forcing opponents into uncomfortable striking entries before they can even start their offense cleanly. Alex Pereira's biggest weaknesses usually appear when opponents can force prolonged grappling exchanges or consistently deny him clean striking space. While his takedown defense and overall grappling awareness have improved significantly over time, especially with his training alongside Glover Teixeira, strong chain wrestling and heavy clinch pressure can still create difficult moments, especially against larger heavyweights capable of sustaining control. Pereira is most dangerous when fights stay structured and fought at his preferred range. Opponents who pressure intelligently, force him backward repeatedly, or trap him against the fence can disrupt some of the rhythm his striking relies on. Even when he stays dangerous offensively, being forced to constantly defend pressure can reduce the amount of clean counter opportunities available to him. Extended clinch battles can also become difficult areas strategically. Pereira is strongest in open striking exchanges where he has room to set traps and create damaging counters, while opponents who turn fights into grinding physical exchanges can slow the pace and limit his ability to comfortably dictate range. Cardio can also become a factor in exhausting wrestling-heavy fights. Pereira is extremely dangerous early and mid-fight, but prolonged defensive grappling sequences force him to spend energy in areas that are less natural to his game than clean kickboxing exchanges. Ciryl Gane's biggest strength is his ability to make heavyweight fights look technical instead of chaotic. He moves with the fluidity of a smaller fighter, using footwork, angles, and range management to stay ahead of opponents who are usually trying to pressure forward and land power shots. What makes Gane especially dangerous is how well he controls pace and positioning. He rarely rushes exchanges or wastes movement. Instead, he forces opponents to fight at the exact rhythm he wants, constantly resetting distance and making heavyweights chase him in uncomfortable striking situations. His striking is built around patience, efficiency, and clean decision-making. Gane is excellent at touching opponents without overcommitting, disrupting entries with kicks and movement, and slowly building control over fights through technical consistency rather than reckless exchanges. At heavyweight, where many fights turn into wild firefights fairly quickly, Gane's composure and defensive awareness separate him from most of the division. He stays calm under pressure, avoids unnecessary damage, and consistently creates cleaner moments than his opponents over long stretches. Ciryl Gane's biggest weaknesses usually appear when opponents can deny him space and force him into prolonged physical exchanges. His striking works best when he has room to move, manage range, and dictate the tempo, but pressure-heavy fighters who trap him near the fence can reduce many of the advantages his movement creates. Wrestling pressure has historically been the clearest path to disrupting his game. Strong grapplers who force clinch exchanges, chain wrestling, and repeated takedown attempts can make Gane spend more time reacting defensively instead of controlling the fight offensively. Extended clinch battles can also become difficult strategically. Gane is most comfortable in open space where he can reset angles and control range, while grinding cage exchanges limit his mobility and create opportunities for opponents to physically slow the fight down. Because so much of his game depends on clean positioning and movement, opponents who successfully force attritional wrestling-heavy fights can make him less effective over time than he is during technical kickboxing exchanges at range. Now it's time to break these fighters down using the Fighter Index scale. We break down each phase of the fight and score each skill to better understand the strengths and the weaknesses of a fighter's game. All Fighter Index scores are based on a scale of 1 to 10. Scores are subjective and can change as the fighter evolves from fight to fight. Here's how the Fighter Index works. Each fighter is evaluated across 4 pillars made up of 4 key skills. Every skill is scored on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 represents a non-functional ability and 10 represents a rare or generational skill. Everything in between reflects a fighter's level in that area, and at the end of the video, those scores are combined to calculate the Fighter Index Composite score to see who is the more complete fighter. Pillar 1, Fight IQ and Athletic Tools. The first category is Fight IQ, where Ciryl Gane holds the edge with an 8 compared to Alex Pereira's 7. Gane is excellent at managing pace, reading opponents, and making adjustments without forcing bad exchanges, while Pereira's Fight IQ is strong, but built more around timing and counters than long-term control. In athleticism, Gane leads again with a 9 to Pereira's 8. At heavyweight, his movement is a major weapon. He covers distance well, reacts quickly, and fights with the mobility of a much lighter weight fighter. Pereira is still a strong athlete with serious explosiveness and physical presence, but Gane's fluidity stands out more in this division. Stamina is another clear advantage for Gane, scoring an 8 compared to Pereira's 6. Gane is much more comfortable maintaining movement and output over longer fights, while Pereira's style is more explosive and can slow when forced into extended battles. The one category that stays even is Resolve, where both fighters score a 7. Both have shown toughness and composure under pressure, even in high-stakes fights. Overall, Pillar 1 favors Ciryl Gane because his movement, pace management, and cardio give him more control over how a heavyweight fight unfolds. Pillar 2, Striking and Stand-Up Defense. The first skill is striking, where Alex Pereira holds the edge with a 10 compared to Ciryl Gane's 9. Gane is an elite technical striker with movement, variety, and range control, but Pereira's power, timing, and ability to end a fight with one clean shot put him at the very top of the food chain. In the clinch, Pereira leads again with an 8 to Gane's 7. His strength, knees, short shots, and ability to create damage in tight spaces give him a major weapon if the fight closes the distance. In striking defense, this is where Gane takes the advantage, scoring a 9 compared to Pereira's 7. Gane is harder to hit clean, uses footwork better, and does a stronger job avoiding extended danger. In chin, Pereira gets the edge with an 8 to Gane's 7, giving him a slight durability advantage in heavy exchanges. Overall, Pillar 2 favors Alex Pereira because of his striking power, clinch danger, and finishing upside that outweighs Gane's defensive edge. Pillar 3, Grappling and Control. This is not the area either fighter wants to spend most of the night, but it still matters because even short grappling exchanges can completely change the momentum of a heavyweight fight. Starting with wrestling, Gane scores a 5 compared to Alex Pereira's 4. Neither man is built around offensive wrestling, but Gane has shown a bit more comfort using it when needed, especially in slowing opponents down or changing the pace of the fight. In takedown offense, Gane leads again with a 4 to Alex Pereira's 3. Pereira's wrestling is mostly reactive and focused on staying upright, while Gane has shown a slightly more willingness to initiate grappling when the matchup calls for it. Top control also leans towards Gane. He scores a 5 to Pereira's 4. If the fight does hit the mat, he's a little more reliable in settling position and controlling exchanges rather than simply surviving them. And the same goes for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where Gane scores a 5 to Pereira's 4. Neither fighter is known for submission offense, but Gane looks a bit more comfortable and composed if the fight extends on the ground. Because of those small advantages across every category, Pillar 3 favors Ciryl Gane, giving him a slight edge if the fight moves away from striking and into longer grappling sequences. Pillar 4. Defense, Scrambles, and Ground Survival. This is where the focus shifts from initiating grappling to surviving it, and a small difference can matter a lot in heavyweight fights. Starting with takedown defense, Alex Pereira holds the edge with a 6 compared to Ciryl Gane's 5. Pereira has made major improvements here, especially defending shots and staying upright against strong pressure, while Gane has shown more vulnerability when opponents can consistently force wrestling exchanges. In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu defense, both fighters are even at 5. Neither is known for elite defensive grappling, but both are capable of surviving positions without immediately falling apart. Off the bat, Gane has a slight edge, scoring a 4 to Pereira's 3. If forced onto the mat, Gane is a bit more active and comfortable working to improve position, while Pereira's focus is usually more on surviving and getting back up. The biggest gap comes in scrambles, where Gane leads 6 to Pereira's 4. His movement, balance, and ability to transition in messy positions give him a much better chance of recovering position or escaping bad spots once grappling starts. Pereira has strong takedown defense, but Gane is better once the fight gets extended on the ground. This pillar slightly favors Ciryl Gane due to his stronger scrambling and overall ground mobility. Now, when you take everything from the 4 pillars and you put it together, this fight becomes really interesting because both guys clearly want the same thing, but they get there completely different ways. Both Alex Pereira and Ciryl Gane want this fight on the feet, but Pereira wants moments of danger and fight-ending exchanges, while Gane wants control, space, and a longer technical battle where his movement can take over. In Pillar 1, Gane's movement and athletic fluidity make him more difficult to pressure cleanly, but Pereira's composure and patience allow him to stay dangerous without forcing reckless exchanges. The longer the fight stays technical and measured, the more important pacing and adjustments become. Pillar 2 is where we're going to see the majority, if not all, of this fight play out, and is the defining pillar of this matchup. Pereira carries far more dangerous knockout weapons, especially with his left hook and his calf kicks, while Gane's footwork and range control are designed to avoid exactly those exchanges. The biggest thing to watch for is whether Gane can maintain distance without getting trapped near the fence. In Pillar 3, grappling changes the dynamic because Gane has more tools to disrupt Pereira physically if he chooses to mix in clinch work or takedowns. Pereira wants a clean kickboxing match, while Gane has the option to make the fight more layered if striking exchanges become too dangerous. In Pillar 4, the key thing to watch in transitions is whether Pereira can quickly return the fight to striking range if grappling appears. Gane is more comfortable in scrambles and prolonged physical exchanges, so Pereira's ability to stay upright and reset distance becomes extremely important if the fight gets messy. Now we look at each fighter's path to victory based on what we learned from the 4 pillars. Alex Pereira's path to victory centers on forcing Ciryl Gane into dangerous striking exchanges where his power can take over. Gane has the edge in movement, stamina, and striking defense with a 9 in defense compared to Pereira's 7, so Alex can't chase him recklessly or swing at air. He needs to cut off the cage, attack the legs, and make Gane's footwork less effective over time. The biggest advantage for Pereira is in the damage categories. His 10 in striking and 8 in clinch give him the most dangerous weapons in the fight. If he can land calf kicks, pressure Gane toward the fence, and force exchanges in tighter spaces, he can take away Gane's ability to move freely. From there, the left hook, straight right, knees, and short clinch shots become major threats. Pereira also needs to keep the fight mostly standing. Even though his takedown defense scores higher at a 6 to Gane's 5, extended grappling favors Gane more in scrambles and ground mobility. For Pereira, this fight is about patience, cage cutting, and turning one clean moment into a finish. Ciryl Gane's path to victory centers on movement, stance control, and making Alex Pereira work without giving him clean targets. Pereira has the bigger finishing threat with a 10 in striking and 8 in clinch, so Gane can't let this become a close-range power fight. He needs to stay light, use angles, and keep Pereira turning instead of letting him plant his feet. Gane's advantages in fight IQ, athleticism, and stamina give him the better tools to stretch the fight out and win longer exchanges. His 9 in striking defense compared to Pereira's 7 is also critical. If he's making Alex miss and resetting before the big counters come back, he can frustrate Pereira and score from the outside. If grappling appears, Gane's slight edge in wrestling, top control, and scrambles give him another way to slow momentum and change looks. For Gane, this fight is about staying disciplined, staying mobile, and turning Pereira's power into something he has to chase. Now, when you total everything across all 4 pillars, the numbers show a closer fight than people might expect, but they also explain where the differences come from. Alex Pereira comes in with a fighter index composite score of 5.9, while Ciryl Gane lands at 6.4. That gap reflects Gane's advantages in movement, cardio, defensive awareness, and overall control across more phases of the fight. He scores higher because he has more ways to manage the pace, avoid danger, and stay effective if the fight gets extended. Pereira scores lower, but that doesn't mean he's less dangerous. His 10 in striking and elite finishing ability mean he carries the most fight-ending power in the matchup. He just relies more on creating those moments than controlling every phase of the fight. So while the fighter index sees Gane as the more complete heavyweight over 5 rounds, Pereira always brings the kind of power that can erase the numbers with one shot. And that's the full breakdown for Alex Pereira versus Ciryl Gane using the fighter index. This is a fascinating heavyweight matchup because the numbers favor Gane's movement, defense, and overall control, but with Pereira, one clean shot can make all of that disappear instantly. Now, I want to hear from you. Who do you think takes it, and is there a skill you'd score differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's break it down. And thanks for watching. If you're enjoying these breakdowns, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and stay tuned for more fighter index analysis. Catch you on the next one.